Blood soaked through the expensive fabric as the man was dragged through the clinic doors, his body nearly collapsing before his men forced him upright. "Doctor, now!" one of them barked, voice sharp with panic and authority. Dr. Ava Bennett froze for half a second, her eyes locking onto the wound on his abdomen. Gunshot, fresh, still bleeding heavily. The kind of injury that didn't wait for permission or paperwork. She moved instantly. "Lay him down here," she ordered, pushing a gurney forward. Armed men hesitated like they weren't used to being told what to do. One stepped forward, gripping her wrist tightly. "You save him, doctor, no mistakes." Looked at his hand, then slowly back at him. "If you keep pressing my arm, he'll die before I even start." Man released her. The injured stranger was placed under the harsh clinic light. His face was pale, sweat mixing with rainwater. Despite the pain, his jaw stayed tight, eyes half open, scanning everything like he was still in control. "Name?" Ava asked quickly, no answer. One of the men leaned down. "He doesn't need a name from you, just fix him." Ava didn't respond. She had learned long ago that silence sometimes kept people alive longer than arguments. She cut through the shirt. The wound was deep, messy, but not immediately fatal if she worked fast enough. Roman 4 line. "Now," she said. Her assistant froze for a second before rushing to comply. Outside, thunder cracked violently, as if the sky itself was reacting to what was happening inside. While Ava worked, she caught fragments of conversation from the armed men behind her. "If he dies, the families will burn us alive. No one finds out he's here. No one." Ava's hands paused for a fraction of a second. Families, that word wasn't normal in medical emergencies. That word belonged somewhere else, somewhere dangerous. She kept going. The man on the table suddenly grabbed her wrist, his grip weak but firm enough to surprise her. His eyes opened fully for the first time. "You don't look afraid," he whispered. Ava met his gaze. "Should I?" Faint smirk crossed his lips before pain took it away again. "Most people are. Most people aren't bleeding out in my clinic," she replied calmly and pushed him gently back down. "Save your strength." Behind her, one of the armed men muttered, "That's him talking." He shouldn't even be conscious. Ignored it and focused. For the next hour, the clinic became a war zone of silence and urgency. Instruments clinked. Monitors beeped. Ava worked with sharp precision, stitching, stopping bleeding, refusing to let her mind drift into fear. At one point, the man flatlined for 3 seconds. "You dare?" Ava whispered under her breath, pressing hard, injecting adrenaline. The monitor came back. Ava exhaled slowly, but didn't stop. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the bleeding slowed. The wound was stable. "He's alive," she said firmly. The armed men didn't celebrate. They just exhaled like they had been holding their breath since birth. One of them stepped forward again. "You did well, doctor." Ava removed her gloves. "Take him out before I change my mind about calling the police for this entire circus." That earned her a sharp look. "You wouldn't last a day if you did that," the man replied quietly. Before she could respond, the injured man's eyes opened again. This time clearer, stronger. He looked directly at her. "What's your name?" he asked. She said reluctantly. He repeated it once like he was storing it somewhere deep in his memory. "Ava." Then his eyes closed again. Within minutes, they were moving him out. The clinic returned to silence, but it wasn't the same kind of silence anymore. Something had changed. Ava stood there for a long moment, staring at the blood on the floor. "Was that?" her assistant whispered. Ava didn't answer immediately. Something about the man's voice, his control even while dying, lingered in her mind. "I don't know," she finally said. "But he's not just a patient." That night, Ava couldn't sleep. She searched the hospital database. Nothing, then news archives. That's when she saw it. A photo, the same eyes, the same face, Damien Moretti. Her stomach tightened. Every article used the same words: ruthless, untouchable, feared, invisible king of the underground. A mafia boss. Ava leaned back slowly, the weight of what she had done settling in. She had just saved a man the entire city was terrified of. Her phone suddenly buzzed. Unknown number, one message. "He's awake. He's asking for you." Ava sat still, then another message came. "You are coming with us." She stood up slowly, heart pounding. Outside, engines roared, black vehicles lined the street, and then a knock came at her door, firm, controlled, final. A voice followed. "Dr. Ava Bennett, open the door. The boss wants to see you." Ava's hand hovered near her phone, but she already knew calling for help would change nothing. She opened the door and stepped into the world she could never walk out of the same way again. If you are watching this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you are watching from, because what happens next will change everything about Ava's life forever. The men escorted her into one of the black SUVs without touching her too harshly, but the message was clear. This was not an invitation she could refuse. The city lights blurred past the window as the vehicle moved in complete silence. Ava broke it first. If he's awake, why am I needed? No one answered. That silence was worse than any threat. Finally, the man sitting beside her spoke. He doesn't forget people who save his life. If he forgets them, Ava asked. Man gave a small, cold smile. Then they don't last long enough to complain. Went quiet after that. They drove for nearly 30 minutes before arriving at a massive estate hidden behind high gates. Guards stood everywhere, watching her like she was already a problem that needed solving. Inside, the air was colder, controlled, expensive, and waiting at the end of the hall was Damien Moretti, alive, sitting, watching her. His voice was calm when he finally spoke. You're the woman who kept me from dying. Ava didn't flinch, and you're the man who got shot badly enough to need me. A faint silence followed. Then Damien leaned forward slightly. I didn't call you here to thank you. Damien's words hung in the air like a warning, not an explanation. Ava didn't look away from him. Then why am I here? One of the men behind Damien shifted slightly, but Damien raised a hand and they went still again. That small gesture told Ava everything she needed to know. This man didn't just command respect. He controlled fear itself. Damien studied her for a moment longer, then spoke. My niece is sick. Ava blinked once. That wasn't what she expected. She needs surgery, he continued. But I don't trust hospitals, I don't trust doctors, and I definitely don't trust people I didn't choose myself. Ava crossed her arms slightly. So you kidnapped me because I saved your life. I didn't kidnap you, Damien said calmly. You're being protected. Ava let out a short, humorless laugh. Protected from what? Leaving? That earned a faint flicker in his eyes, almost amusement. You're smart, he said. Good, that helps. Ava stepped forward just slightly, ignoring the armed men watching her every move. I'm not your doctor. I saved your life because it was my job, not because I belong to you. The room went silent. One of the men reached for his weapon. Damien didn't even look at him. Leave us. Boss, I said leave. They obeyed instantly. The doors closed, leaving only Ava and Damien in the massive room. For the first time, Ava felt the full weight of his presence without backup around him. He wasn't just dangerous because of his men. He was dangerous even alone. Damien leaned back slightly. You don't belong to me, he said slowly. But right now, you're the only one I trust near my family. Ava narrowed her eyes. And if I refuse, you won't. Ava held his gaze. That's not an answer. A faint silence stretched between them. Then Damien said quietly, because you already saw me die once, and I don't make the same mistake twice. A chill ran through Ava's spine, but she didn't show it. Before she could respond, a small voice echoed from the hallway. Uncle Damien. A little girl appeared at the doorway, no older than 8. Pale, fragile, holding a stuffed toy tightly to her chest. Her eyes lit up slightly when she saw Damien, but then she coughed. Hard. Ava's attention immediately shifted. Medical instinct took over. That cough is not normal, she said instantly. Damien turned slightly. Sofia, go back to your room. The girl shook her head. I want to stay. Ava walked closer despite herself. How long has she been like this? Damien didn't answer immediately. Long enough, he said finally. Ava crouched slightly to the girl's level. Hi, Sofia, I'm Ava. The girl looked at her carefully. Are you a doctor? Yes. Are you here to help me? Ava hesitated for half a second, then nodded. Yes. Sofia smiled faintly. That was the moment something shifted, not in the room, in Ava. Damien noticed it. You'll treat her, he said. Ava stood slowly. I need proper tests, equipment. I'm not working in a house with armed men watching me like I'm a prisoner. You'll have everything you need, Damien replied. Ava studied him. And if I say no, Damien's voice dropped slightly, then you leave and I find someone else. Ava frowned. Someone else who you said you do trust. A faint pause. Damien didn't answer that because he couldn't. Ava exhaled slowly. Fine, but I do it my way, no interference. Damien nodded once. Agreed. That should have ended it. But it didn't, because as Ava followed a maid to prepare the room, she noticed something strange. 2 of Damien's men arguing quietly near a corridor. She slowed her steps. She shouldn't be here, one of them whispered. She knows his face. If she talks, she already knows too much. Ava's heart tightened slightly. Before she could hear more, a hand gently guided her forward. Doctor, the maid said softly, this way. Allowed herself to be moved, but her mind was already working. Something wasn't right in this house. That night, Ava was given a room inside the estate, not locked, not guarded at the door. But she knew better than to think that meant freedom. Hours passed. She couldn't sleep. Around midnight, she stepped into the hallway quietly, following the faint sound of voices. They came from a partially open door. She stopped. If she finds out who ordered the hit, she won't survive it, a voice said. Ava froze. Another voice responded. Then make sure she doesn't find out. A pause, then the first voice again. Damien trusts her too quickly. Ava stepped back slowly, her pulse rising. But her foot brushed against something on the floor, a small sound. The conversation inside stopped instantly. Someone's there, a voice said sharply. Ava didn't wait. She turned and walked fast, then faster until she was nearly running. Behind her, footsteps followed. Ava, her name, not a stranger anymore, a target. She slammed her door shut, locking it just as the footsteps stopped outside. Silence again. But now it was heavier, more dangerous. Ava pressed her back against the door, breathing hard. Damien's world wasn't just dangerous, it was divided. And she had just walked straight into the middle of something someone was willing to kill for, you're right, that was missed in the closing. Ava stayed pressed against the door for several seconds, listening, nothing, no footsteps, no voices, just silence thick enough to feel wrong. She slowly moved away from the door, her mind racing. What she had heard wasn't random, it wasn't gossip, it was fear. Someone inside Damien's house believed she was a risk, and worse, that Damien trusting her was a mistake. A soft knock suddenly came. Ava froze. Ava, Damien's voice called from outside. Her tension didn't ease. If anything, it sharpened. She didn't open the door immediately. What do you want? A pause. Open the door. Her hand hovered near the lock, but she didn't move it. Why? Another silence, shorter this time, controlled. If I wanted you dead, you wouldn't have time to ask questions. That should have scared her more than it did. Instead, it confirmed something else. Damien wasn't the one who had been talking earlier. Ava unlocked the door slowly. Damien stepped in alone, no guards, just him. His eyes immediately scanned her face. Happened? Ava hesitated. Someone in your house is talking about me like I'm a problem that needs removing. His expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes tightened. Did they touch you? No. They threaten you? Ava looked at him directly. Not yet. A faint silence followed, then Damien turned slightly toward the hallway. Stay here. Ava stepped forward. No, I'm not staying anywhere while people are talking about killing me. His gaze snapped back to her. This is not your world. I'm already inside it, she shot back. For a moment, neither of them moved, then Damien exhaled slowly. Fine, but you stay behind me. They walked through the corridor together. Two men stood ahead. The same voices Ava had heard earlier. One of them stiffened. Boss, Damien cut him off instantly. About killing her, silence dropped. You don't decide threats in my house, Damien said quietly. I do. One man tried to speak again, but Damien's voice dropped colder. On your knees. They obeyed. Ava watched carefully, her chest tight but steady. She saved my life, Damien continued. Anyone who forgets that won't leave this house alive. The men lowered their heads. Damien turned slightly to Ava. Now you understand. Ava didn't answer immediately. Her thoughts were already shifting, connecting pieces that didn't fit. This house is divided, she said finally. Damien didn't deny it. Instead, he said, and someone inside it ordered my death. Ava's eyes narrowed. Then tell me who. His jaw tightened. That answer gets people killed. Ava stepped closer. I'm already involved. I deserve the truth. A long silence stretched between them. Then Damien said quietly, not yet. Thunder rolled outside, and for the first time Ava understood clearly. She wasn't just protecting a sick child. She was standing in the middle of a war she hadn't been warned about. A war where saving Damien Moretti might have been the first mistake, and surviving him might be the second. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below where you're watching from. Your support helps bring more intense stories like this to life.